Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. 1922. Nam civilam, quidem cume ego ipse oculis meas viviene pulipendae. Et cumele proheri dicarant, civilati bellis! Respondebit Eliot, apathanellos, hello. For once, I myself saw with my own eyes the Sibyl of Cume hanging in a cage. And when the boy said, "Sibyl, what do you want?" she replied, "I want to die." For Ezra Pound, in Nebl, Fabro. 1. The Burial of the Dead. April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dull roots with spring rain. Winter kept us warm, covering earth in forgetful snow, feeding little life with dried tubers. Summer surprised us. Coming over the Starnbergersee with a shower of rain, we stopped in the colonnade and went on in sunlight, into the Hofgarten, and drank coffee and talked for an hour. In gar keiner Russen, stem aus Litau nach Deutsch. And when we were children, staying at the Archduke's, my cousin's, he took me out on a sled and I was frightened. He said, "Marie, Marie, hold on tight!" And down we went, in the mountains. There you feel free. I read much of the night, and go south in the winter. What are the roots that clutch? What branches grow out of this stony rubbish? Son of man, you cannot say or guess, for you know only a heap of broken images where the sun beats, and the dead tree gives no shelter, the cricket no relief, and the dry stone no sound of water. Only there is shadow under this red rock. Come in under the shadow of this red rock, and I will show you something different from either your shadow at morning striding behind you, or your shadow at evening rising to meet you. I will show you fear in a handful of dust. Bitte denn daheim zu, mein liebes Kind, wo weilst du? You brought me hyacinths, first a year ago. They called me the Hyacinth Girl. Yet, when we came back late from the Hyacinth Garden, your arms full and your hair wet, I could not speak, and my eyes failed. I was neither living nor dead, and I knew nothing, looking into the heart of light, the silence. Oh, the near does near. Madame Sosostris, famous clairvoyant, had a bad cold. Nevertheless, is known to be the wisest woman in Europe, with a wicked pack of cards. "Here," said she, "is your card. The drowned Phoenician sailor." Was it pearls that were his eyes? Look, here is Belladonna, the Lady of the Rocks, the Lady of Situations. Here is the man with 3 staves, and here the wheel. And here is the one-eyed merchant. This card, which is blank, is something he carries on his back which I am forbidden to see. I do not find the hanged man. Fear death by water. I see crowds of people walking round in a ring. Thank you. And if you see dear Mrs. Equitone, tell her I bring the horoscope myself. One must be so careful these days. Unreal City. Under the brown fog of a winter dawn, a crowd flowed over London Bridge. So many. I had not thought death had undone so many. Sighs, short and infrequent, were exhaled, and each man fixed his eyes before his feet. Flowed up the hill, and down came William Street, to where St. Mary Woolnoth kept the hours with a dead sound on the final stroke of 9. There I saw one I knew, and stopped him, crying, "Stanson! You who are with me at the ships at my lee! That corpse you planted last year in your garden, has it begun to sprout? Will it bloom this year, or has the sudden frost disturbed its bed? Oh, keep the dog far hence, that's friend to men. Or with his nails he'll dig it up again. You petite lecture, mon sepnon, mon frère. 2. A game of chess. The chair she sat in, like a burnished throne, glowed on the marble, where the glass, held up by standards wrought with fruited vine, from which a golden cupidon peeped out, another hid his eyes behind his wing, doubled the flames of 7-branched candelabra, reflecting light upon the table, as the glitter from her jewels rose to meet it, from satin cases poured in rich profusion. In vials of ivory and colored glass unstoppered lurked her strange synthetic perfumes. Unguent, powdered or liquid, troubled, confused, and drowned the sense in odors. Stirred from the air that freshened from the window, these ascended, fattening the prolonged candle flames, flung their smoke into the laquearia, stirring the pattern on the coffered ceiling. Huge seawood fed with copper burnt green and orange, framed by a colored stone in which sad light a carved dolphin swam. Above the antique mantle, as though displayed upon the sylvan scene, the change of Philomel by the barbarous king so rudely forced. Yet there the nightingale filled all the desert with inviolable voice, and still she cries, and still the world pursues. Chug-chug, 2 dirty years. And other withered stumps of time were told upon the walls. Staring forms leaned out, leaning, hushing the room enclosed. Footsteps shuffled down the stair, under the firelight, under the brush. Her hair spread out into fiery points, glowed into words, and would be savagely still. My nerves are bad tonight. Yes, bad. Stay with me. Speak to me. Why do you never speak? Speak! What are you thinking of? What thinking? What? I never know what you're thinking. Think! I think we are in Rat's Alley, where the dead men lost their bones. What is that noise? The wind under the door? What is that noise? Now? What is the wind doing? Nothing. Again, nothing. Do you know nothing? Do you see nothing? Do you remember nothing? I remember those pearls that were his eyes. Are you alive or not? Is there nothing in your head but oh, that Shakespearean rag? It's so elegant, so intelligent. What shall I do now? What shall I do? I shall rush out as I am and walk the street with my hair down so. What shall we do tomorrow? What shall we ever do? The hot water at 10? And if it rains, a closed car at 4. And we shall play a game of chess, pressing lidless eyes and waiting for a knock upon the door. When Lil's husband got demobbed, I said, I didn't mince my words, I said to her myself, hurry up please, it's time! Now Albert's coming back. Make yourself a bit smart. He'll want to know what you've done with that money he gave you to get yourself some teeth. He did. I was there. You have them all out, Nell, and get a nice set, he said. I swear I can't bear to look at you. And no more can't I said. And think of poor Albert. He's been in the army 4 years and wants a good time. And if you don't give it him, there's others will, I said. Oh, is there? She said. Something of it, I said. Then I'll know who to thank, she said, and give me a straight look. Hurry up, please, it's time! If you don't like it, you can get on with it, I said. Others can pick and choose if you can't, but if Albert makes off, it won't be for lack of telling. You ought to be ashamed, I said, to look so antique, and her only 31. I can't help it, she said, pulling a long face. It's them pills I took to break it off. She had 5 already, and nearly died of young George. The chemist said I'd be all right, but I've never been the same. You are a proper fool, I said. Well, if Albert won't leave you alone, there it is. What'd you get married for if you don't want children? Hurry up, please, it's time! Well, that Sunday, Albert was home. And they had a hot gamble, and they asked me into dinner to get the beauty of it hot. Hurry up, please, it's time! Hurry up, please, it's time! Good night, Bill. Good night, Lou. Good night, May. Good night, ta-ta, good night, good night. Good night, ladies. Good night, sweet ladies. Good night. Good night. 3. The fire serpent. The river's tent is broken. The last fingers of Leaf clutch and sink into the wet bank. The wind crosses the brown land unheard. The nymphs are departed. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. The river bears no empty bottles, sandwich papers, silk handkerchiefs, cardboard boxes, cigarette ends, or other testimony of summer nights. The nymphs are departed, and their friends, the loitering heirs of city directors, departed. Left no addresses. By the waters of Leven I sat down and wept. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. Sweet Thames, run softly, for I speak not loud or long, but in my back, in a cold blast, I hear the rattle of the bones and chuckle spread from ear to ear. A rat crept softly through the vegetation, dragging its slimy belly on the bank, while I was fishing in a dull canal on a winter evening round behind the gas house, musing upon the king, my brother's wreck, and on the king, my father's death before him. White bodies naked on the low, damp ground, and bones cast in a little low, dry garret, rattled by the rat's foot only year to year. But at my back, from time to time, I hear the sound of horns and motors, which shall bring Sweeney to Mrs. Porter in the spring. Oh, the moon shone bright on Mrs. Porter and on her daughter. They washed their feet in soda water. Hail said, chantons dans le coupole. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Jug, 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 jug. So rudely forced. Unreal city. Under the brown fog of a winter noon, Mr. Eugenides, the Schooner merchant, unshaven with a pocket full of currants, see, I have London documents in sight, asked me in demonic French to luncheon at the Cannon Street Hotel, followed by a weekend at the Metropole. At the violet hour, when the eyes and back turn upward from the desk, when the human engine waits like a taxi, throbbing, waiting. I, Tiresias, but though blind, throbbing between 2 lives, old man with wrinkled female breasts can see. At the violet hour, the evening hour that strives homeward and brings the sailor home from sea, the typist, home at tea time, clears her breakfast, lights her stove, and lays out food in tins. Out of the window perilously spread, her drying combinations touched by the sun's last rays. On the divan her pile, at night her bed, stockings, slippers, camisoles, and stains. And I, Tiresias, old man with wrinkled dugs, perceived the scene and foretold the rest. I too awaited the expected guest. He, the young man carbuncular, arrives. A small house agent's clerk with one bold stare. One below, on whom a short sits as a silk cat on a Bradford millionaire. The time is now propitious as he guesses. The meal is ended. She is bored and tired, endeavors to engage her in caresses, which still are unreproved if undesired. Flushed and decided, he assaults at once. Exploring hands encounter no defense. His vanity requires no response, and makes a welcome of indifference. I, Tiresias, have for suffered all enacted on this same divan or bed. I who have sat by Thebes below the wall, and walked amongst the lowest of the dead, bestows one final patronizing kiss, and gropes his way finding the stairs unlit. She turns and looks a moment at the glass, hardly aware of her departed lover. Her brain allows one half-formed thought to pass. Well, now that's done, and I'm glad it's over. When lovely woman stoops to folly and paces about her room again alone, she smooths her hair with automatic hand and puts a record on the gramophone. There's music passed by me upon the waters and along the Strand, up Queen Victoria Street. Oh, city, city, I can sometimes hear, beside a public bar on Lower Thames Street, the pleasant whining of a mandolin, and a clatter, and a chatter from within, where the fishermen lounge at noon, where the walls of Magnus Marta hold inexplicable splendor of Ionian white and gold. The river sweats oil and tar, the barges turn with the turning tide. Red sails wide to leeward swing on the heavy spar. The barges wash drifting logs down Greenwich, reach past the Isle of Dogs. Elizabeth and Leicester beating oars, the stern was formed, gilded shell, red and gold. Southwest, a brisk swell rippled both shores. Southwest wind carried downstream the peal of bells, white towers. Trams of dusty trees Highbury bore me. Richmond and Kew undid me. By Richmond I raised my knees, supine on the floor of a narrow canoe. My feet are at Moorgate and my heart under my feet. After the event he wept, he promised a new start. I made no comment. What should I resent? On market sands I can connect nothing with nothing. The broken fingernails of dirty hands. My people, humble people, who expect?